All right, y'all, we back. Another episode. Slam presents No Pump Fakes. Couple things to talk about. I think we should start off with the obvious one. Kevin Damn Durant, 53 points.
You're not gonna start off with a happy birthday?
I mean, if you want, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying.
You want me to say happy Pi Day too? 314.
First off, I'm from St. Louis, so it's 314 day. That's what we recognize.
Okay, fine. There's a lot of days. Go ahead. You
314 day
choose.
area code from St. Louis. You already know. Shout out to the boys in the Lou that's in the NBA. Bradley Beal, Jason Tatum. Shout out to myself on Slam Presents No Pump Fakes as well.
Shout out to myself.
Yeah, shout out to myself, man.
Shout out to myself is very tough. Shout out to myself is very tough.
Big things.
Okay, fine. Do you want to shout out a city as well as yourself? Shout out to Stephen Curry. Happy birthday. The greatest shooter of all time turns 34 today. It's crazy.
Crazy, right?
To think that he's 34. But yeah, happy birthday to that guy. He's a champion, MVP. Definitely going to get a statue out there in Cali.
Definitely.
Definitely going to get a statue out there. What do you, let me think. It's not even just about Steph's impact on the game. Obviously, we know that. We've kind of, we addressed that. But how different do you think Steph's time in the league would have been if he was with like any other franchise? Do you think it would have been the same? Like if he wasn't playing with Clay and Draymond? Do you think it would have been the same if he played in an even bigger market? Do you think the overall impact would have, could it have been bigger? Could it have been bigger? Would we have been talking even more about Steph?
It could have been bigger if the New York Knicks would have drafted him. I mean, like you never know. It's just kind of like he literally came into an organization and kind of like changed the organization from top to bottom. So it's just kind of like we think of Golden State Warriors. It's a reason why like they're other than the Lakers, other than New York Knicks, I think they're like the third highest, most like value wise, like $3.2 billion or something. Like that's because of Steph Curry. That's because of the impact of Klay Thompson and Draymond Green and that trio, and also just the impact of their success. So who knows if you would have drafted another team would have drafted Stephen Curry, it could have been even bigger, especially if it was like the Knicks because they were interested in Stephen Curry and stuff like that. So like during that time, who knows? It's crazy to think about.
I'm sure Knicks fans are still a little upset that he didn't fall to where they wanted to draft him and stuff like that. But hey, you live and you learn. Stuff happens. Sometimes there's certain things you can't control. But tell you what though, if you think Knicks fans feel bad, I was gonna say it. Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say.
Minnesota drafted 2 point guards, not one,
but two. Y'all messed up not one time, but decided to fumble the ball twice.
That's crazy.
See it.
That's crazy.
What? Oh.
Yeah, but it's crazy. I can't even like. It just seems like things were meant for Stephen Curry to be in Golden State Warriors. It just feel like when you think of the Golden State Warriors, like you can't. It just feels like Steph was meant to play there. You know what I'm saying? It didn't feel like Steph was meant to play in Minnesota. It didn't really feel like Steph was kind of even meant to like maybe the Garden, but like really it feels like he was meant to be a Golden State Warrior.
No, it would have been dope to see him play with the Knicks though. It would have been dope to see Steph, hoop at MSG. That would have been crazy though.
Yeah.
Just the overall vibe and just obviously, his, they would have definitely embraced him quickly.
Crazy how he started his superstardom at the Garden. That's
against
when he
them. Yeah.
Them. Like that's when he became like,
in the league. I'll say in the league. Because what he was doing at Davidson was nasty.
True, but in
what
the league,
he was doing in that tournament,
he had a lot of like and people forget about Stephen Curry. Like he had a real like journey, like injuries, ankle injuries, several years. Like it was a reason why the Golden State Warriors were able to like be so successful because like he was coming off these injuries. He signed like a very team friendly deal. You know what I'm saying? Like he was like a 4-year, $54 million deal or something. Like it's crazy like how that all kind of helped allow the Golden State Warriors to like build a great team and sign other players and stuff like that around them. So shout out to that boy wonder, babyface assassin, greatest shooter of all time, greatest hybrid guard of all time, Stephen Curry.
Okay, so let me ask some. I put up a post the other day talking about 3-point threats. I'll change the wording now because I know we're in sensitive times. But 3-point threats, right? Varsity squad. So it was 10 players. Let's say starting 5: Steph, Ray, Reggie, James Harden, Klay Thompson. Are you cool with that 5?
Of course.
Of course.
Does it get better than that? You said Klay, Reggie, Ray Allen,
Steph,
Curry, and Steph,
James
James
Harden.
Harden. Yeah, that's
You cool with that starting five? All right, cool.
Yeah.
Backup. Here's the backup for varsity squad. You got Kyle Korver. You got Larry Bird. Who was it? Mark Price. Damn it, who was it? Was it Mark Price, Dirk, Steve Nash, and someone else that I'm missing. But are you cool with those names so far? Is there anyone else that you feel should be in the conversation for the varsity squads when we talk about Kevin Durant. My apologies, Kevin.
Kevin
Durant.
Kevin Durant.
That's who it was.
Yeah. Kevin Durant. Maybe Peja Storakovich. Maybe.
Yeah, him too. He was in there.
Maybe Peja, but no, I don't feel like
the varsity squad has 12 people, by the way, guys. So we said all of them.
Yeah, I think that's good. I mean, for that starting five, you can legitimately make an argument that maybe Kevin Durant could be in that five. But Kevin Durant's he's better at shooting the mid range than he is three. So it's just kind of like it's okay if he's not in that starting five when you got James Harden, Klay Thompson, Stephen Curry, Ray Allen, and Reggie Miller. Like these are guys that are very like specialists, like 3-point specialists, like marksmen, like deep range. And we forgot one. Oh, your boy Dame. That's yeah. Woo, sheesh.
All right, so Dame and Trey might have been the two names that a lot of this generation would say. But again, the question always follows up after who you taking out.
Of course,
I named some heavy hitters.
I named some heavy hitters. Dirk Nowitzki, Kyle Korver, Larry Bird.
We
got to be on that
50,
list.
40, 90s.
They ain't got Steve Nash. Take Steve Nash out and put.
Whoa! Okay, here we go again. You really got beef with Brunman, huh? You really got beef with Steve Nash, bro.
Take Steve Nash and put Dame out and put Dame in there. Easy. I know for like 50, 40, 90 Steve Nash, but like we cannot have. But that's fine. But we cannot have a 4-level scorer. Only 3 in history, really, if we're really talking about it, not included on the varsity roster when we talk about straight threes. Like, nah. Like,
yeah, you can, because in a way, the 4-level score is irrelevant. In this specific situation, it's irrelevant.
But even if you want to say it's irrelevant, it's kind of like for 3-point just shooting ability, he's better than some of those guys on that backup list. I'm not picking Mark Price over Dame. I'm not picking Steve Nash over Dame. I may not even pick Dirk Nowitzki over Dame for his like just 3-point shooting ability. Like Dame got a chopper, flamethrower. Like it's Dame. I think Dame got to be on that varsity.
Why wasn't Trey? Why wasn't Trey an immediate name for you?
Because Trey Young he's still new. That's the only reason why.
Fair. And that was
over the course of the time, he'll definitely be on that varsity list because he's knocking out somebody.
I don't know who just yet, but somebody gonna slide.
He's knocking out somebody, and it's probably gonna be a couple names that I mentioned that that you feel like I'm kind of disrespecting a little bit. I
think a part of it too is because the game has changed in terms of like the overall range.
That is true,
right? Like the minute Stephen, Dame, and Trey are walking across half court, we're pulling. You feel me? We're pulling.
Serious. So, like, it's serious. It's like Trey is that like that kid that's on the high school team where it's just like you got your high school varsity roster, and you got that one JV player. Like damn, like he's really good. To like he should really be on varsity.
Trey, a freshman that can play varsity. Yeah,
he's a Trey. He should be varsity, but he's like. We gonna wait because like we'll put him up his sophomore year because we got these other guys like this because he probably not gonna play a little bit. That's what Trey is.
Right.
So
yeah. He it's like he could play varsity, but because of the guys that are ahead of him, it's like all right,
you gotta wait your turn.
This guy wait your turn. Ain't nothing wrong with that because like I said, we got some heavy hitters on this list.
Yeah,
we got some heavy hitters on this list. Yeah. A lot of people had a problem with James Harden being that high up,
and I kind of understand that in a way because James Harden. It's the greatest player to me at accumulating points. And when we talk about accumulating points, we talk about like for a variety of ways. You know what I'm saying? And he takes a lot of threes, but he's not this like, to some people will say like, he's not like just a pure 3-point marksman like those other guys when we just talk about simply threes. But then I can say this like, but he's like, he could be if he really wanted to be. That's been like the knock on like James Harden. Like, James Harden, like, play the off ball position, come off screens, catch and shoot, just knock down. You know what I'm saying? And that could be like we could see that later on, probably progressing in his career down the road. But like he creating off the dribble, going crazy. Shooting threes, you know what I'm saying?
I don't really see James Harden coming off screens like that.
I'm just saying. But I'm saying that a lot of those guys, Klay Thompson, Ray Allen, Reggie Miller, like that's what they kind of like. Even though Ray Allen, you know,
not much. I know what you mean.
Roll the tape back. We know what Ray Allen was before, you know. Yeah. But still, that's what I'm saying with James Harden. That's why people kind of feel that way. But like I said, I can make an argument like it's tougher. It's tougher doing what Stephen Curry, James Harden, Trae Young, Damian Lillard do than like catching and shooting. When you creating off the dribble and you still hitting 30, 35 footers, like it's tougher. You know what I'm saying? So that makes it like, yo, I don't have a problem with James Harden being included in that category, especially when he's third all time in the history of the NBA with made threes. So it's just like people can get over it.
Yeah. And honestly, that, you know, a lot of people talk about the points aspect, right? It's like, okay, you can say James Harden scores a lot of points, but then some people say, well, it's because of fouls and free throws and all that. All right, you know, there's a slippery slope with that. But threes, that's you being a good shooter, right? That has nothing, or doesn't have everything to do with there being fouls. Like you're not about to become third all time and be mid. Like you know what I'm saying? I know the volume is there, but at the same time, you're gonna have to be a fantastic 3-point threat from behind the arc. And it makes them
lights out.
But yeah, I mean, that's a tough one though.
And to think we was gonna skip this convo.
That's a tough one though. I mean, and I want to say too, like stating the difference between, you know, shooters like, you know, the JJ Redicks of the world and Duncan Robinsons of the world. Yeah. And just the idea, like, and obviously, like they are great and have been fantastic at what they've done in their, you know, careers and stuff like that. But just the idea of being off the ball and catching and shooting and stuff like that. Yeah. And coming off screens like that, that's a lot different. That doesn't take away, and Kyle Korver as well, right? That doesn't take away from anything that they've done. But that's a skill too, though. I think they're better at that than some of those other guys we named.
You're absolutely right. But at the same time, it's just like the difference between those three guys and all those other guys that we kind of name and mention, like all the rest of those guys are stars. You know, when we think of like JJ Redick, we think of like Duncan Robinson, we think about Kyle Korver, like they were great role players. Like, and that's what we're gonna kind of get into. I want to get into this conversation anyway, like role players versus like superstar role players, because I feel like it's a difference.
Superstar role players. Okay, I like that. But I will say one real quick. Kyle Korver low-key can have a case to be made that he could be in that starting five for the varsity squad. Just to be clear. I know he's not, you know, coming off the dribble and pulling up. I know, you know, he might have been shooting from 40 feet the same way some of these other guys, but Kyle Korver, bro, when he was, and was Klay in the starting five either? That's tough. That's tough.
Klay was in the starting five. That's what I'm saying.
That's tough. Some of these
guys,
five.
Yeah, it's tough, bro, because some of these guys, a lot of these guys you mentioned, like even you got Dirk Nowitzki coming off the bench in the varsity, it's just like they can do more than like just shoot. Like when we talk about Duncan Robinson, we talk about JJ Redick, we talk about Kyle Korver, like they're specialists. You know, that's it. You know, they just strictly specialists. That's what I'm saying. Like it's more of a role player type of role. Those rest of those guys are stars. You know, been the best guy on championship team, most of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at Reggie Miller, was a 3-point specialist, but like was the best player on a playoff contending team for years. You know what I'm saying? As a 3-point specialist, because his impact was so crazy during this era. You know what I'm saying? So it's just kind of like Ray Allen was the best player on multiple teams, you know, even before like he kind of became like this specialist, like 3-point catch and shoot, run off screens type of player. So it's levels when we talk about like certain things like that.
Oh, facts. That definitely plays somewhat of a factor. You know, the overall attention that you get, right? If you really are getting double teamed every time coming off PNRs, that makes your job a lot harder than someone who's, let's say, the third or fourth option that, you know, is literally just responsible for catching and shooting like that. You know, and again, not to take anything away from them, but facts are facts. You know, if attention isn't being as high on you as those other players, you know. But yeah, what were we saying though? Superstar?
No, I was talking about because I always say this about like certain players, like it's a difference between role players and superstar role players. because over this past weekend was great for the NBA. In a variety of ways. We had a bunch of guys go crazy. We're going to talk about, the key guys that we always talk about. But I want to also shout out to like Josh Hart, Gary Trent Jr., Jordan Clarkson, De'Aaron Fox, even though De'Aaron Fox is not a role player or a superstar role player, he's a stud. He's a young star in this league. But those other guys, that's what I wanted to ask you. Like, what do you consider them? Because I think it's a difference between like a role player and a superstar role player. I feel like a superstar role player are guys that can possibly like go on a team and be like maybe the second or third option on a playoff caliber team. And then you got role players or guys that I feel like, are just like probably starters or coming off the bench in any situation. That's what they're probably best in. Like to me, like a role player would be a Kyle Kuzma. A role player would be a Alex Caruso. A superstar role player would be guys like probably like a Gary Trent Jr. or like a Jordan Clarkson, like of that ilk. And like Josh Hart, he just went for 44, but I wouldn't consider him a superstar role player. I would still consider him just a role player. And then we see like guys like Jeremy Grant, who was a role player with the Denver Nuggets, but then like he was a role player, but it's just like, all right, then he went to like the Detroit Pistons and show like, he's not even, he probably was a superstar role player, but he was really just playing a role player role with the Denver Nuggets, and he goes to Detroit Pistons and he becomes like, like, he's here. You know what I'm saying? Like he showed his full arsenal and stuff like that. Similar makeup to those superstar role players that can do that to other teams compared to role players.
Yeah, I would say a lot of it has to do with fit. Like just your overall teammates, who the coaches and things like that, and just your overall situation. Because we've seen a lot of guys, elevate and take their game to a next level when they're in a completely different situation, and vice versa. We've seen a lot of guys think that they're a number one or number two option, and they get the opportunity to do so, and
true,
it doesn't turn out well. But two names that kind of came to my mind when I heard you talking about that was Lamar Odom and Rajon Rondo.
Okay,
like two players who thrived when even in our champions, and even though they may not have been the number one option, the role that they played it well to the point where they could be considered. Yeah, they could be considered superstar role players. You can make the case that those teams wouldn't have won without those two guys. Mm-hmm. But I definitely hear you. I think a part of it too is who your number one option is, right? Like it takes a lot of pressure off of you knowing that your responsibilities may or may not be the same depending on who you're passing to, who you're receiving passes from, so on and so forth. But yeah, those are like the main two. I know they're a little bit more former guys around them still being in the league and stuff, but just the idea of like players that can really, really thrive and excel on the highest level too, right? Like on the highest level, in the finals and things like that. But yeah, definitely shout out to JC, shout out to Josh. Yeah, for sure.
No, that's what I definitely meant, like exceeding at the highest level in that particular role. And I don't know if like role players can necessarily do that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying like these superstar role players can go and be like the number one option and, carry your team to the playoffs, but I think they can be like the third option. Like another guy's like two legends that NBA players love to say, like, that's your NBA's player's favorite player. Like we talk about Jamal Crawford. Like Jamal Crawford was basically a six-man his entire career, but he was a superstar role player. Jamal Crawford probably could have gone and start and been like a third option on, maybe even a second option on several teams. You know what I'm saying? But he carved out his role being a superstar role player where he was dominant. He was great. Even another guy like, he's going to be a Hall of Famer, but like Manu Ginobili to a certain degree. He was like a six man, but he was like no, I'm not going to say Manu was kind of a role player because sometimes he was a third option. He was kind of the third option of that dynasty or whatever. But like still similar kind of like flow and makeup. Like Manu could have probably been a second option or maybe in the first option on a really good like playoff caliber team. You know what I'm saying? So like that happens.
Yeah, I was going to say, I hear you with the definition, but I'm just trying to think too of like, can you be a Hall of Famer but still be a superstar role player? Like, I'm trying to think of
Draymond Green.
Draymond Green. Okay, yeah, that's funny because the name I was thinking of was Dennis Rodman.
Well, there we go. That's two right there.
But all right, so superstar role player, right? Could that team have won if that specific player wasn't playing or was replaced with someone slightly below them?
Then that's right. That's when things get dicey when you really got to dissect it.
Yeah,
because you look at that's what people are saying like right now with the Golden State Warriors. Like damn, like I've been saying like Draymond's a superstar role player, but like his value is so like crazy to that team. It's just like I don't know if they could.
Now I think about. I don't think I would call Draymond a superstar role player. I wouldn't, just because of one what we're seeing now, and
what
two,
we're seeing now,
yeah, what he actually means to that team. The same case with Dennis Rodman. I think like it. Yeah, no, I wouldn't say role player with Draymond. And I know people have mixed feelings about Draymond. I know some people feel like, oh, if he was on any other squad, he wouldn't be doing this. Well, we don't know. We don't know. But we're literally seeing now what happens when he's not there. We've seen what happened when he is there. So however you feel about him, numbers are numbers.
Yeah. Most guys are superstar role players, and role players, it's like they probably coming off the bench. That's what I mean. Kind of like, so when you're starting, it's kind of like hard to like, but sometimes you can be a role player and you can be starting as well though. Like I look at Kyle Kuzma. I don't think Kyle Kuzma is a superstar role player because I've seen him in both aspects. I've seen him on the championship caliber team. I've seen him with the Washington Wizards right now. Like he's starting right now, but he's starting on a team that's kind of like very, very like bad. You know what I'm saying? Like to me, it's just he's a role player. He's not some guy that I feel like, Bradley Beal's been out for a minute. Like if he was, I know he's been putting up points and stuff like that, but he's not a guy that I feel like, can like be a number 2 option or even a number 3 on a playoff caliber team, like a real playoff caliber team. So that's what I'm saying. A superstar role player, I feel that a Jeremy Grant could be a number. If the Lakers had Jeremy Grant, it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like if the Lakers had, or if this team had Jamal Crawford, Jamal Crawford or Lou Williams, like in their prime, it's just like, they probably let them start and not just be a 6-man. It's probably crazy. They probably could be a 3rd option. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah, I think too. All right, so you mentioned Kyle Kuzma. Let me know, what do you think about Tyler Hero?
He's another one. Right now, he's to me, Tyler Hero's the best like shot creator on the Miami Heat. So his talent is there, and he's still super young. So I don't want to box him in and say like he's a superstar role player because I feel like, he's really playing that role right now because like that's what the Miami Heat needs him to do because he's on the championship caliber team. Like it's a reason why they're talking about he's getting a max contract. You know what I'm saying? So like we've seen him like play at the highest moments and be a valuable member on that team. I think a better question would be like, this guy, your guy, that some people are saying like he's better coming off the bench and stuff like that. But I wouldn't consider him a superstar role player or role player anyway. But like, I think this is a better question instead of Tyler Hero, Colin Sexton.
No. No. Yeah. Well, I mean, I can't even say no that quickly because I asked a question about Tyler Hero. I thought you were ready to say Russ or Kimba. I wouldn't say Colin Sexton is no.
Well, no. Derrick Rose right now is a superstar role player.
Yeah, but that's not the same.
Yeah, okay.
Derrick Rose, especially because you said right now.
Yeah, right now.
That's a lot different.
Colin Sexton still young. Oh, well, I guess you got your boy then. Your UConn letting Kemba Walker. That's probably the better.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. I thought you were going to say one of those.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, with him not playing and stuff, I don't.
But that's the role he's probably going to be in though now, most likely. I hate to say it, like.
No, I'm with you. Yeah.
I feel like he could still be a starter somewhere, maybe, but it's like them teams ain't like. It depends on the team, but it's just like if he wants to like continue his career in the NBA, he's going to have to become like that superstar role player. Like that's probably what he's got, a guy that can be like, like you have him on your team, you got a championship caliber team. This guy coming off the bench can go crazy, like very valuable. Like that position is very valuable. It's like it's
yeah, and there's experience there. It just kind of
doesn't sound good, right?
I think situations like this with Kemba is a reminder of how quick like your career can really change. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the NBA, it's so crazy. Like, obviously, you got certain guys who we've seen playing All-Star games for years now, back to back to back and whatever. But there's so many guys who make just one game or just 2 or just 3. There's so many guys who have fantastic rookie years and just kind of fall off after. And it's like, same thing with teams, right? We see so many teams that are like, they're about to be good for the next 7 years and it's clipped after the first one. And so, I don't know, man. It definitely hurts to see, but it's not much that can be done if teams aren't willing to give players either another chance or look at the roster is say, you know what, our team doesn't really have anyone that's anywhere close to this person's level, or we're struggling right now, or we need to fill this hole and we got to get this guy, and so on and so forth. But I mean, I wouldn't. Yeah. It's tough to say and call Kemba Walker a superstar role player, man.
I said that's what he's got to be, because I said that's what he's got to be. Because right now, I just said you look at it, it's like it's some teams he probably can start on, but it's just like I don't know, starting on a team that's like, what is that going to do for your stock? And it's just like I don't know. You look around the landscape, what team is he starting on? So that's what I'm saying. He's probably would be better off accepting that superstar role instead of like going to a situation. And he's probably not going to be in a situation because the teams that he probably had to start on are teams that are trying to rebuild. You know what I'm saying? The teams that are trying to. John Wall is the best player in the Houston Rockets, and he's not playing. Not because he's not the best player, but he's not playing because like the Houston Rockets want to lose. They want to develop their young guys. So it's just like if you're a player that's coming off like, and that was after John Wall came back and kind of showed like, yo, he's still an all-star caliber player. He's not the same John Wall, but even then, it's just kind of like we all know that coming off a serious injury, it takes at least like 2 years to really like potentially get back to your fullest self. So if they doing that to John Wall, what do you think these teams that Kemba Walker could possibly start on are going to do to Kemba Walker? You know what I'm saying? Like he probably can start. Like what team? I'm trying to think. Like, but what team could he?
Well, like what team would he best fit? You're saying?
Yeah, what team would he be a starter on? So that's what I'm saying. He's got to have to look at the mirror and probably be a superstar role player. But he's not starting a whole lot of teams.
Yeah, but I mean, at this point in his career, I would hope that, and I'm sure it always has been, the number one goal is to win a championship. And you probably have to accept that if you do go and start on a different team, or if you do become the number one option on a different team, that would probably mean that the current roster that you're heading to ain't too good. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So if you got to take a decreased role, even with the current situation with the Knicks, if you got to take a decreased role to go and try and win a chip, then you do that. Obviously, some of this isn't really all in his favor, but I mean, you're not winning one now.
Derrick Rose did it and excelled. Like he's a superstar role player right now. He was the best player on a playoff team last year in the playoffs. That's what I'm saying. Like your stock can like reboost if you may take that backseat. But like sometimes going to play on a shitty team is not going to really like get you the stock that you, or the kind of the stock that you're looking for. Like we saw Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas was starting on the Washington Wizards. His last like time of being really in the NBA and like having a home, and then he got traded to the Clippers and they released him. And that was it. You know what I'm saying? But he was starting on the Washington Wizards, you know? So that's what Kemba Walker's got to decide. Like, yo, is it better for me to like go start on a shitty ass team or go and try to be like a superstar role player on a championship team and like show that like, yo, I'm still valuable. Like I can win playoff games and I can take a lesser role. But when the moment, opportunity presents itself, I can shine. Like Derrick Rose did with the Minnesota Timberwolves, and then went to Detroit Pistons, and then went to New York Knicks. So,
what would you do?
If I would be a superstar role player because that may be the only option.
I'm saying for a championship team. You're saying
for a championship team, or for a championship team, because he hasn't like Derrick Rose was like Minnesota was like the last stop for D Rose. It took like having Tom Thibodeau, like it took a lot of things to get Derrick Rose back into the situation. And ability hasn't left Kemba Walker. I'm always, but I know how narratives start to happen. We know what's going on with Kemba Walker because these narratives start to create. And once these narratives and these reputations and people start going and saying this and saying that, you can be out the league very quick. It's the reason why ability-wise, Isaiah Thomas is an NBA player. But it's just like he can't find a team. You know what I'm saying? He's an NBA player, but he's also short. He's also been hurt a lot. Like it's a lot of things that falls not in his favor. Kemba Walker is 6'2", 6'1" guard that can create off the dribble and stuff like that. And it's just like he's gonna have to really ask himself, like, yo, his next move better be his best move, because like it could be that this next up and coming move could be the move that can separate from being like Isaiah Thomas. So you better figure it out. So
yeah, and I mean I'm happy to kind of see what Isaiah, is kind of done with Charlotte and the Hornets and things like that. And I mean, just the idea of not giving up and stuff like that. But also it takes, finding a home and finding a team that's willing to kind of invest in you. And with the way this league is and the business and all that, it's like
did they give him another 10 days?
Who? I mean, last time I checked, I think like I would say this: the fit with IT with Charlotte, right? You kind of think about him playing with LaMelo and just overall. Like I did a post recently, and I'm like, it's hard to hate on the Hornets because you have so many guys that have things to prove. You got Trez, right? Obviously undersized big. You got IT. We know what kind of he's been through. You got LaMelo. You feel me? He's been getting people talking shit about him since he was a teenager. You know what I'm saying? You got Miles Bridges, who's now developing into an all-star caliber player. And so when you kind of fit a player like IT into that system, it makes everything a lot easier, right? He's around a group of players that know what it's like to be doubted. And I think, it's a good fit all around for Charlotte. So I'm happy to kind of see what they got going on and moving forward.
Yeah. But also, I will say this last thing on this subject. It's just like sometimes when you accept that role as a role player or even a superstar role player, and then the opportunity presents itself, and then you can get back into the starting lineup. And you can still show that, I'm still a starting caliber guard in this league. That's what happened to Reggie Jackson. Like Reggie Jackson didn't know if he talked about it, he didn't know if he really wanted to play basketball anymore. Paul George was like, no, bro, like you're still cold like this. You suffer a lot of injuries. Like, yo, you still have the ability. It's there. What happened to Reggie? He was a role player, and he ended up shining. Now he's still a starting guard in this league. And it's still cold.
I say Reggie's cold, bro. Reggie's cold.
You know what I'm saying? It's still
Reggie's cold, man. I know they don't got Kawhi and PG, but Reggie's cold, man.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Cold, man. Like one of the most underrated hoopers in the league right now is Reggie Jackson. But he had to battle back. He had to take a lesser role. He was starting with the Detroit Pistons and injuries occurred and stuff like that. And he had to go to a situation where it's just like, yo, like he was kind of out the lead and he got signed to the Clippers thanks to relationships with Paul George. Then he was a role player, was like getting minutes and stuff like that. And then opportunity presented itself, started starting, did well in the playoffs. Like that's what I'm saying. That happens. The same thing could probably will have to happen with Kemba Walker if he wants to still prove that, like, yo, I'm still a star in this league, but it ain't gonna probably come for like another starting opportunity, at least on a decent team.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is like analyzing the situation as a whole. It's like obviously, talent wise, he's a starter in this league, but like, where's the fit? You know what I'm saying? Like where would he go? Where could he possibly land that actually makes sense? And you kind of hate to see a guy kind of go through that, right? Kemba, Carmelo, Derrick Rose, Dwight. I want to say
Dwight Howard. He was
just
like you say Dwight because he was averaging. He was like, what was average, like 15 and 15 with the Hart. Like,
it's like you being a player that even if I think what hurts a lot of these guys is that because they're not the players that we quote unquote are used to seeing, and that they're not still in their prime, we tend to think that they still can't play in the NBA at all.
I don't think that. You know who thinks that?
I say we, I don't mean literally you and I.
Yeah.
Right.
The average fan, the average consumer of the product.
You mean to tell me a 38-year-old Carmelo Anthony isn't the same 22-year-old kid in Denver? Shocker. You mean to tell me that the same Dwight Howard that came out of, that brought an NBA, team, to the finals and came out of high school and number one pick, all that isn't the same? Like, shocker. Like, and that's okay, right? It's okay for if guys aren't in their prime anymore. My thing is, the only question that really matters, are they better than the players that you have? Especially if your goal with said players isn't to develop. Especially now, if you want to go with the youth movement, right, and your team is trash, and you say, okay, we have guys on teams that we know aren't better than Carmelo Anthony, but we want to develop them so that they can be better than where they are now. I'm with that. You know what I'm saying? I'm with a youth movement. It makes sense. Like I said, sometimes it really is, a business. But at the same time, don't sit here and say, oh yeah, we're trying to win now when then you rolling out mids. Don't sit here and say like, all right, we're trying to win a championship, but then you got guys who we all know aren't better than certain players. And so politics definitely come into play. Again, we know that by now, but like, I think a lot of it just comes from the fact that folks aren't used to these former All-Stars, future Hall of Famers not being the same player that they once were.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's a
Hate
fact.
to see it. One person that we don't have to worry about that with is Stephen Curry.
Or LeBron.
Well, I was saying that because it's bruh man's birthday. But yeah, man, definitely. Happy birthday to Stephen Curry, man. That's crazy. Boy, he's 34 years old. Spent his entire career with the Warriors. You think he's gonna finish with the Warriors? He might not have a choice.
So. I hope so. Yeah, I think
he might have a choice. They're not gonna. Yeah, no. I mean, who knows? I mean, I think that's the interesting part of obviously this league. I would hate to just kind of see him end his career on like all right, I'm gonna play 27 games with this team. Spend a year and a half on this random team. No,
I think he's gonna stay. Just like I think LeBron's gonna stay. I think Kevin Durant's gonna. I think this is it for. I think this is their last run. I think that's why people should appreciate it. That's why what they did this past weekend, like LeBron dropping 50, and then Kevin Durant coming dropping 50. It's so much talent in this league. And then I'm quick to always point out, like in this modern day NBA, the 50 is the new 40, the 40 is the new 30, but really, especially the 40 is the new 30 in the league because of the spacing and just like how easy it is for guys to score. But 50 is 50 still to me because like it's harder than the rest of like getting a 40. You know what I'm saying? And it's harder than getting a 30. So even though I feel like, it's guys that has been getting 50s these past like 2 weeks like crazy, it still shows something when you can get 50 or, above 50. It shows that you're extremely talented, you're extremely gifted, stuff like that. Especially if you can do it multiple times in your career.
These playoffs gonna be crazy. That's what I'm gonna say. These playoffs, especially this. It's funny. I think I'm low-key looking forward more to the first round than I am to like.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that first round with multiple matchups. Because obviously in some years you kind of know, right? Like, all right, we're gonna probably get these.
We don't
this
know.
Year,
we don't know in the East, especially in the East.
It's going to get disgusting.
We don't know in the East. We don't know in the East. It's gonna get crazy. And even the Lakers, like in a play-in situation, like if they can, I know they got waxed, and people are crying about this and that. I don't know. Like I feel like they're cooked. I think LeBron James is getting his stats, getting his numbers. But maybe if Anthony Davis comes back, I got to see AD play. Like, but who knows? Like, if Anthony Davis comes back, then like, okay, you get Anthony Davis, you get LeBron, you get Russ, and they play and they healthy and they play in the play-in, like, then we can have a conversation. But I'm not even trying to have that conversation until I know they're going to be actually in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? But like you said, force the East, it's serious. It's serious. Like,
bro, I turned on my TV.
Yeah, I saw.
I turned on my TV. The score at your Lakers game was 93 to 127.
Yeah.
And this is on national television, by the way. And it was just like, I'm thinking to myself, like I was mad. Like, I mean, I think you saw my story. Like I was mad, right?
Yeah.
But like internally, I wanted to laugh. Not laugh at the Lakers, but laugh at myself, honestly, for having such high expectations. Because like, what realistically do I expect at this point? Do I really think that, you know what I'm saying, we're all on the road, we don't have Anthony Davis, we're playing against the best team in the West, arguably the league. What realistically is supposed to happen?
I mean,
do I think those numbers are about to be reversed?
I mean,
should I?
Phoenix ain't got Chris Paul, so that you can't even say they fully healthy. So that you throw that excuse out there about not having Anthony Davis. But I mean, it was.
And then I see a little scuffle going on. Like when I was, you down by 34 points. Now we want to get aggressive, and it's like
get active.
Now we want to get active. It took 34 damn points for someone and
it's just an effort thing with the Lakers. It's just an effort. Even like LeBron James is older, like, so I understand it. And it was an historic night for LeBron James. What do you get? 10K rebounds, 10K assists, like over 30,000 points. Like, it was an historic night. And people are like, why is he smiling? He's smiling because he's a billionaire. He got a beautiful wife. He got kids. He has a multi-million-dollar franchise, multi-million-dollar advertising company.
And he has a school.
Shows. He has a school. Like
he has a school.
That's why he's smiling. That's why he's smiling. But at the end of the day, it is moments like during the game where we watch like LeBron's effort, not getting back on defense and stuff like that, missing assignments and stuff like that. And, it's everybody. I understand that without LeBron, they're not even winning games and stuff like that. But at the same time, like, lack of effort can be contagious. Like, and that's
This is very true.
And that's what's going on with the Lakers. Like, everybody's lack of effort, it shows on a nightly basis. You know what I'm saying?
Well, this is very true, but also, at least to LeBron's defense, you try being 37 years old and play 19 seasons and still be asked, do you mind doing every single thing on the basketball court? So
everything on the basketball court.
I'm always hold, you know what I'm saying, Bron and all these top guys accountable, because at the end of the day, if we're going to call you the best player, hey, it comes with, great, responsibility as well. But like, man, that is a challenge.
Yeah, that's you definitely right. You definitely right. And that's why I'm saying, like, it's a double-edged sword. And especially when, like, LeBron came to the Lakers and won Anthony Davis to pass the damn baton. That's what really, like, he's doing is, like, he was, like, people are upset. Like, LeBron, he came to the Lakers, he won Anthony Davis to pass the baton. You know what I'm saying? Like, he hasn't been able to do that. That's the frustrating part. Like, he's supposed to pass.
He still might be able to. He still might be able to. I think with the way the season is, again, ironically enough, if they go out there and win the whole thing, we will forget the regular season probably even happened.
Of course, in the playoffs.
This gonna be,
or if they go on a run the playoffs. I'm not gonna say win the whole thing. Let's take baby steps. Let's first get in the playoffs. If they go on a run in the playoffs, I think in the playoffs,
it won't matter. It won't matter. They got to win the whole thing. I'm not going to lower the bar. Not going to lower the bar. Because think about it. All right, let's work backwards here. Who would they lose to? Right? Like, think about who they legitimately lose to in the West.
Because that's true. Because they knock off the first seed, and it's just like, damn. If you knock off either the 8th or the 7th, if you knock off either Golden State or the Phoenix Suns, it's like, yo, you lose.
Exactly.
I guess they could lose. I guess they could lose to one of those two teams they don't knock off. Then it would be like, if they lose.
But then that would mean they lose in the first round, which is damn sure not acceptable.
True, but I'm just saying they could lose to in the conference. Say they made it to the conference finals hypothetically and stuff like that. They knock off the Phoenix Suns and they play the Golden State Warriors in the conference final. They lose to the Golden State Warriors in the conference finals. I don't think it's gonna be like, yo, like people are gonna look like,
Not me. It's not an excuse. Get it done. No, I'm serious because
thank God we talking to hypotheticals because that shit ain't happening.
No, I'm saying because it reaches the point now where it's like, okay, right, over the course of the season, again, there's been injuries, chemistry issues, COVID, people talk about firing the coach, all that. Cool. But in a 7-game series, right, if there's anyone that knows, it's LeBron James. But in a 7-game series, the only thing that matters is whether or not you get it done over the course of those 7 games. That's it. That's the only thing you can be judged by. It ain't X's and O's. It ain't chemistry. We're not about to say, well, AD did it. No.
And I hope
did you win the series?
And I hope they play Phoenix because Anthony Davis coming out in the media talking spicy, talking about last year about the Phoenix Suns. They know they got away with one. Anthony Davis, come back and play, and then come show us in the playoffs that they got away with one. Like, you talking about come back and play and get right and go on and develop some chemistry, and then come show us that they got away with one. Because you talking about last year and this and that, like what? Last year? That's what Devin Booker came out. I was like, like it was cute, like you saying that, but like you not even playing. Like what are you talking about, bro? Like,
and the thing is too, it's
we
like
need you to suit up. This,
and the thing is, what makes it so unique and so dope is that sometimes there's certain players that talk a lot of shit, but they don't do anything. Right? I'm not talking about like physically fight or anything, but just like sometimes you got role players talking spicy. I can't stand that. Sometimes you got the 9th man talking spicy. Know your role. You feel me? But this AD we talking about. So I'm with it. I trust AD to go out there and produce and give me a 28 and 12 game. I trust him.
I seen him in the playoffs. I know he's about.
But you gotta play first. We gotta see you hoop. You feel me?
Out on him.
You feel me? I'm with you, Anthony. I think he can do it. I got faith in bro, man.
Please, suit
but
up.
I can't sit here and say, he about to go off. Shit, I don't know if bro man about to play. Let's get to the starting line before I start giving out predictions.
Yeah.
And so it's one thing to get active and say, yo, all right, come playoff time. We about to destroy y'all. Go. But then also, it sounds crazy to think that the same team that just got clapped is about to go out and win a 7-game series against them. But again, I think it can, obviously, even as a Laker fan, of course. But I mean, you put a team with LeBron, AD, and hopefully he's healthy enough to play well, right? Not just like, oh, he's healthy enough to be out there, but healthy enough to play well. So, hey, man, there's a lot of pressure on the Lakers. Like, but, I mean, get the job done. I don't think the Los Angeles Lakers are in any position to be talking shit. I don't give a damn if we talking about, whoa, last year they got away with one. Well, who cares?
Talking
like, and that's another thing, too. That's another thing. It'll be one thing if the Lakers were the 3rd seed right now. What the hell? It'd be one thing if, we were a 2 seed, what I'm saying? We had, 55 wins or some shit now. And, we were like, the only reason why we didn't get it done last year is because we were injured.
Yeah.
What the hell is going on now? Like, there's nothing that would convince someone to say, okay, what I'm saying? We deserve to be with this group. Outside the fact that you have LeBron James and Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook. But we have seen the 2 play. But it's going to be interesting, man. The playoffs, a lot of people are going to have to stop talking, though. I'm going to say that. That's the thing I'm looking forward to the most. A lot of players there ain't going to be too many more excuses after this season. I think this is the one season where those excuses that you might have had are clipped. My team wasn't there. There you are now. I don't want to hear too many,
Especially if everybody's healthy and right. Yeah.
It's going to get very, very spooky very, very quickly. And hey, but man, I just hope everyone is healthy enough to play, man. I don't think that's too much to ask, but we'll see. We'll see. Because even with Brooklyn, them not having Ben Simmons and no Kyrie and KD still dropping 53. It sounds good on paper, right? And obviously, shout out to KD. But after a while, that takes a toll. You feel me? Kevin Durant is having to do this in the regular season. We saw LeBron have to do this in the playoffs. And, you know what I'm saying? Like, but to have to do this in the regular season just to make the offs.
Yeah.
Hey. It
best player in the world tag though. I'm not gonna feel too bad.
Of course, I'm still I would say it all depends on the opponent, because the same thing last year when we talked about him playing the Bucks. It's like, all right, you playing the eventual champions. I ain't about to,
stuff like that.
Yeah, everyone's hurt. You playing the eventual champs. All right, cool. Even now, you might get an 8 seed, but let's say, the playing game
or the Sixers.
We got to discuss the playing game first. Hey, I'm serious.
Yeah, that's real.
I'm serious.
Real. It's any given NBA, like any given Sunday for the NFL. Like it's any given NBA when it comes to like the playing, like one game worth getting in and two games sometimes. Like you don't know what could happen. That's a dicey situation because all it takes is like, basketball is a game of runs, but all it takes is a team to get going more runs than you and beat you, especially if they go out early, come out the gate. 40 to 20, something crazy.
Don't let them be pissed off. Don't let them be motivated.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, especially a team that ain't got nothing to lose. And that's the attitude that the Lakers gonna have to embrace and need to embrace if they eventually go to the play-in and then like play the number 1 seed. Because like if you the 8th seed, it's like you ain't got nothing to lose. So that's the attitude.
No. They don't get that pass.
I'm saying they're not getting a pass, but that's the attitude they need to have and embrace because they don't have nothing to lose because it's just kind of like everything that's gone wrong has gone wrong this regular season for the Los Angeles Lakers.
Nope, this is the one year that is so unique where not one, but it's both 8 seeds. They do have something to lose. Even if they are the 8th seed, I don't care what their record is. You roll out a team with LeBron James and Anthony Davis in the playoffs, I don't want to hear anything about.
That's what I'm saying. Everybody's healthy is something different. I don't know if everybody's going to be healthy for the Lakers. I don't know if we already know what Mayor Adams is talking about in that situation. Like Kyrie should be playing home games. Like he may not even be able to play home games. Like that's what I'm saying. It's situations that we can't necessarily ignore. That's all I'm saying. Some
of this is strategy though. Brooklyn trying to get road court advantage, if that makes sense. If they get to play
I don't know. They could just be losing.
I'm just saying though.
They could be just losing.
I ain't saying that they tanking. I'm not saying they tanking. I'm just saying there could be a bonus to know that. All right, at least
they could just be losing.
Oh, for sure. I ain't saying
all that like they could just be losing. You think Kevin Durant want to hear that? You think Kevin Durant go out there and fight for his life? He fight for his life against the New York Knicks, the poverty Knicks. He out there fighting for his damn life. Come on now. He ain't trying to hear that.
Of course, he's not. But But management, look, someone in that arena is trying to hear that. Yeah. Someone has that philosophy of like, okay, you know what I'm saying? We got to get an AC. We get, road court advantage. We get Kyrie back in a game 7. I'd rather have Kyrie in a game 7 than...
Even the Philadelphia Sixers it was a report came out like, James Harden and Joel Embiid is going to rest. Take this next month, rest. Like what
they rested from?
Why are you rested? Why are you like talking about rest? Like, I get it, like, but it's just like, it'd be different if like y'all was 15 games above the 3rd seed. Like you one and a half game out of the 1st seed. You 1.5 game out being from going to 2nd seed to being the 5th seed. What do you mean rest? Like this is not like it's stacked.
Only NBA champions should be allowed to rest. Only NBA champions should be allowed to take off days because y'all know what it's like to experience an NBA Finals victory.
No, bro.
That's the way
like you said, it's strategy.
That's the way I see it.
It could be a little truth to what you say. A lot of strategy going on because like it may be like, oh shit, the Brooklyn Nets is 7th seed. Well, maybe we need to lose a game.
Get spicy. You said they duck it.
Maybe they need to lose a game. They don't say talk about rest. Like maybe they afraid. Like that's what I'm saying. That's what people start thinking. Because you're talking about, like I said, when you're a game and a half out of 1st place, and then you're like 2 games back of losing, being the 4th or 5th seed, like the East is stacked. Like it's that 1-2 game differential of being top 4 and top 6. Like, what are we talking about? Rest.
Hey man,
like,
don't start that narrative. Don't start that
that's
narrative.
The truth.
Because if that gets started,
that's the truth, man.
If guys get on that fire and then eventually, if they do meet in that first round, then lose.
That's what I'm saying. That's the truth.
Hey,
like, that's what people gonna ask. Especially we got people in on your team coming out spin fire talking about Ben Simmons this, Ben Simmons that. It's like, it's a lot of.
Get nasty.
A lot of things can get nasty.
You get nasty. But yeah, y'all. A couple of housekeeping items. Before we wrap up this episode, as you already know, get active 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. And shout out to, wherever y'all get your podcasts. We've got Facebook, Spotify, and obviously, subscribe on YouTube. Just like that, y'all. We gone. Peace.
It's your boy, Mike K. Smith, also known as AK. Make sure you guys go follow No Pump Fakes wherever you get your podcasts.